Lucy fans can rejoice as everyone's favourite devilish detective duo is back in the City of Angels, and this time they've got demonic prophecies and apple-loving ladies to deal with. Yippee-ki-yay movie lovers, I'm Jan, and today we're delving into the season 4 finale of Lucifer on Netflix, how the ending relates back to previous seasons, and what it all means for the future of the show. We will of course be talking spoilers, so take care if you're not all caught up. When Team Lucifer foil Father Kinley's end-of-the-world prophecy and banish Dromos and his fellow invading demons back to hell in the season 4 finale, Chloe thinks it's over, but Lucifer explains that now the demons know he doesn't want to go back to the underworld, they'll eventually return to Earth, maybe putting baby Charlie or Chloe in danger. Lucy breaks the news that he has to go and be their king to contain them. It's a bittersweet moment for Decastar fans because Chloe then reveals that she loves Lucifer and he confesses back to her.
My first love was never Eve. It was you, Chloe. It always has been.
This is a huge moment for both characters, especially Lucifer, who not only sacrifices a life he's built for himself in LA, but also the chance to be with the person he truly loves, and who's grown to accept him for everything he is. In a selfless act, Lucifer gives it all up and returns to hell, and as he does, his white feather angel wings return. Lucifer had these last in the season 3 finale when he used them to protect Chloe, but until that moment in season 4, we've only seen him with his much more devilish bat wings. So the return of Lucy's angel wings show that he's finally overcome his self-hatred and angst over whether Chloe can accept him for who he is. And he's also finally come to accept himself and stop battling his feelings for the detective. And there's an interesting detail in this scene which circles back to the penultimate episode of season 3.
Chloe. I am the devil.
No, you're not. Not to me.
In that scene, like this one, Lucifer also called the detective by her real name, Chloe, just before she kissed him. Back then, obviously, Chloe thought that Lucifer was just referring to himself as the devil metaphorically. But after she discovered at the end of season 3 that Lucifer was quite literally the devil, season 4 has been all about her coming to terms with this knowledge. Chloe's struggle to fully accept Lucifer's demonic side causes her to fall out with Lucy, which sets up the introduction of Eve, someone who already accepts Lucifer for who he is, and someone who's also similar to him as she abandoned heaven because she was bored up there in much the same way that Lucy was bored of hell when he moved to LA. Eve is madly in love with Lucy, but her obsession ends up being unhealthy for both of them. When she encourages Lucifer to return to his devilish, punishing ways, the difference between her influence on him and Chloe's is summed up perfectly in this scene where the three of them go to confront Tiernan.
Lucifer, he will be punished. Lucifer, stop.
Lucifer, do it.
Eve is deliberately shown here as a devil-like figure on Lucifer's shoulder, goading him to lean into his darker side, while Chloe is the opposite, an angel-like figure on his other shoulder, reminding him that those things are wrong. Eve's portrayal during much of the season is something of a reversal of her traditional biblical story, where she was tempted by a serpent to take fruit from the tree of knowledge. In the show, when Eve returns to Earth, she's the one tempting the devil, whereas back in the Garden of Eden, it was Lucy doing the tempting.
Maybe you've read about it in a little book called The Bible. The garden, the snake, the apple.
The metaphors were a bit old.
That's true. The forbidden fruit was less of an apple and more like a banana.
Because she was so wildly in love with Lucifer, it seemed like she was going to be what set Kinley's prophecy in motion. And she did, but in a different way than perhaps expected, as she killed Kinley, sending a message to a demon from hell to come back in his body so that she and Lucifer could be together. But eventually, by the end of the season, Eve realizes that she needs to truly discover who she really is.
I've realized the way I've been acting with Lucifer is the exact same way I've acted with Adam. You know, I keep trying to change myself to be this person I think they want me to be.
I would never ask you to change, Eve. I like who you are.
I don't even know who that is yet. I need to figure that out. I'm gonna need to do that on my own.
It'll be interesting to see if Eve is brought back into the show in a future season. She admitted to Maze that they had a connection before she left, so they may still get together in the future. In the meantime, Kinley did mention to Eve that she could be the Queen of Hell by Lucifer's side, and I wonder if there's a slight chance that she might end up visiting him there, even taking his place. She did seem to love punishing evildoers on Earth, so being in charge of that in Hell could be a good fit, though it's possible she was just doing that as she thought it was what Lucy wanted. Okay, what other ways could Lucifer get out of hell in season 5? For a clue, let's revisit what happened at the end of the first season. In that season finale, Lucifer was killed and went to hell, although it was only temporary as he made a deal with his father God. An exact replay of that wouldn't be possible this time, as Lucifer needs a substitute ruler to govern hell in his place. One possibility might be that Lucy asked God to send a different angel to keep control over the underworld. Lucifer and Amenadiel have several siblings, some of whom we've already met. There's Remy, who appeared this season when she tried to take Amenadiel's baby back to the Silver City. And there's Azrael, aka the Angel of Death, who was introduced in the season 3 bonus episode Boo Normal. In that episode, Azrael revealed that Lucifer was one of her favourite brothers, and that she'd always meant to visit him in hell after his rebellion against God. And I wonder if this time she'll make good on that and come to see him in season 5. An alternative new character who could resolve Lucifer's dilemma of being stuck in hell is Lilith, Adam's first wife. She was name-checked a couple of times this season, first by Eve.
Lilith tamed the beasts of the night. Stupid, perfect Lilith.
And then by Maze.
My mother, Lilith. Let's just say she wasn't mom of the year.
Now, what's interesting is that Eve said that Lilith tamed the beasts of the night, suggesting that if she were introduced to the show, she could be a fearsome ruler who could keep Hell's demons in check. By the way, if you're a fan of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, this will make sense to you. Something that could be an intriguing twist is that rather than Lucifer going back to LA, Chloe could instead become his queen in hell. This isn't something I could see working easily with all the other supporting characters who'd still be in LA, so I could only see this happening briefly until there was some other resolution. And talking of supporting characters, many of them also went through crises this season, like Lucifer, Chloe and Eve. Maze discovered she was becoming too dependent on looking after Linda and her unborn child after Linda told her she needed to find her own partner. Maze did make that connection with Eve, although it wasn't reciprocated entirely, in a similar way to how Lucifer was with Eve. So perhaps next season we'll see Maze exploring other potential partnerships, as well as continuing to kick ass. The show's cast are all absolutely wonderful, and Amy Garcia is just perfect as Ella. This season, Ellis suffered a crisis of faith after the death of Charlotte, with both her attitude and her t-shirts turning a little darker. And Ella and Dan also shared a brief intimate moment which surprised me because it appeared to come out of nowhere. However, looking back over the season, it seems they connected over their similar feelings about the loss of Charlotte.
I hope you know that I'm here for you. You're not alone.
See, that's just it. I never used to feel alone. Because I always had the big guy. I really miss him. I was just so mad after Charlotte.
I've been mad too.
But by the end of the season, Ella puts her crucifix back on, and Dan understands the foolishness of going back to his old shady ways. As for Trixie, well, it was nice to see her make up with Maze, but I wish we'd seen a lot more of her, as she's such a good actress and her on-screen chemistry is so great with all the adult actors.
Where do you live?
Here.
Where are you from?
Far away. I came here for Lucifer.
Keep the commentary to yourself, lady.
However, I think she may be a casualty of having a shorter season now. Fingers crossed we see more of her next time. By the way, if you're curious about what Maze really said when she spoke Lilum to Linda, tap at the top of the screen to check out my other Lucifer video. So, how do you feel about the ending to season 4? And do you have any predictions or things you'd like to see in season 5? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Tap left to watch another Lucifer video with devilish details about the show, or tap right for another video you're sure to like. And if you enjoyed this, a thumbs up and a share are hugely appreciated. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Yippee-ki-yay, movie lovers!